Test 1 2, test 1 2.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, or good afternoon, rather, ladies and gentlemen. Before I call the meeting to order, I want to read a brief statement concerning some of the media this morning around Deonte Miller. This morning, consistent with established practices, the board discussed the matter concerning Mr. Deonte Miller with Chief Saunders. This case is complicated, and there have been serious allegations made which everyone is taking extremely seriously, especially members of the Toronto Police Services Board. Now that the SIU has completed its investigation, the next and usual step is for the chief to conduct a Section 11 investigation of this case, pursuant with the Police Services Act, which will look at procedures, policies, governance, and conduct in the handling of this case. The chief has advised the board that due to the fact that there are two very different versions of this case in the public domain, it is important to take this opportunity to have another agency that is independent and separate conduct the Section 11 investigation. Waterloo Regional Police have agreed to do so. The board very much supports the decision of the chief and in the interests of the public trust. The legal process must unfold, which means that there will be a trial and the outcome of those proceedings will, of course, be public. We must all respect that process, and once it is complete, the board will, as it now does with all such reports, release a public Section 11 investigation report. At any point at which it is appropriate and legally permissible to provide additional information to the public, the board will ensure that this is done to the fullest extent possible. Thank you. Chief Saunders.
Thank you, Chair, and I would like to read a comment as well. I want to address the case surrounding the events of December 28, 2016, and the case of Mr. Miller. As Chief of Police, it is my responsibility to ensure that transparency and trust are at the foremost of everything we do as a service. I would like to make the public aware of a few important details regarding who can notify the SIU and when. Durham was responsible to notify the Toronto Police Service because one of my officers was involved in an event. As per protocol, members of my professional standards unit applied the policy regarding the SIU involvement with the facts that they had at that time. They made their decision not to invoke the SIU based on that information. Many months later, a very different version of the events of December 28th has been presented to the SIU, which required their involvement. With the conclusion of the SIU investigation, normally I would conduct a Section 11 investigation. However, in light of the circumstances now before me, I've taken the extra step of reaching out to an independent agency to complete the Section 11 investigation. Today I've spoken with Chief Brian Larkin of the Police of Waterloo Regional Police Services, and he has agreed to run the Section 11 investigation as to how the case was handled. They will look at the procedures, policies, governance, and conduct. As soon as it is lawfully possible, the report from Waterloo Regional Police will be released to the Toronto Police Service Board, and then as soon as legally possible, that report will be made to the public if the board chooses so.
Thank you, Chief Saunders. I'll now call the meeting to order and welcome to the July 2017 meeting of the Toronto Police Services Board. I would ask everybody to stand for a minute to observe a moment of silence in memory of Deputy City Mayor and former Toronto Police Services Board member, Councillor Pam McConnell, who died on July 7th of this year. Thank you very much. I would also like to read another statement which really concerns the conduct of the meetings that we've had over the last 2 months. As many of you know, the board has a new procedural bylaw, which was published several months ago. As part of our meetings, we provide an opportunity for the public to provide submissions to the board through deputations. The Police Service Board members are appointed by the province and the city to fulfill the requirements of the Police Services Act and to deliberate in public. In doing so, and in doing this, and to do it properly, we wish to hear deputations from members of the community. The deputation process is one that is very important and a very important way for the public to provide input and information that is critical to our understandings of this and our deliberations. But it's important that the public understand the parameters of this process. In the past, this board has been quite liberal in the way we have permitted deputations and the restrictions we impose. But in the past few meetings, the past 2 meetings in particular, we have had situations in which some members of the public have treated the meetings as a forum for debate. In addition, we've also had some very unfortunate incidents where visitors or other deputants have acted in a way that is disrespectful to others. This is a public forum where all should be welcome, and that type of behavior should not be tolerated. As a result, we will now follow our procedural bylaws very strictly, and we will provide time-limited opportunity for each deputant to speak, and deputations must speak to the agenda item directly. If any deputations or disruptions occur, any serious disruptions occur, we will adjourn the meeting and require anyone disrupting the meeting to leave before the meeting recommences. So I think people will understand the necessity of that. As I said, this is a public opportunity for all opinions to be heard, and we want it to be done respectfully and intelligently. I would now ask members of the board if there are any declarations they wish to make under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. None? None? Thank you. Then I'd ask for confirmation of the minutes of the meeting held on June 15th, 2017. Councillor Carroll, seconded. Ms. Mulliner, all in favor? Any contrary? Thank you. Carried. There are no presentations. Item number 5, there's a deputation, so we will hold that. Item number 6, there's a deputation, so we will hold that. Item number 7, the same thing, so we will hold that. Item number 8, the quarterly report, Toronto Police Service Board Special Fund Unaudited Statement, October to December 2016. A motion to approve. Ms. Mulliner, seconded Mayor Tory. All in favor? Any contrary? Carried. Item number 9, annual report, the Toronto Police Service Board Special Fund, the 2016 specified procedures. Motion to receive. Councillor Lee, seconded Councillor Carroll. All in favor? Any contrary? Thank you. Item number 10, there's a deputation. Item number 11, the Toronto Police Service Improvement Plan, response to the Ministry's inspection report of December 2015. A motion to approve. Ms. Mulliner, seconded. Mr. Jeffers, all in favor? Any contrary? Carried. Item number 12, there's a correction and it needs to be revisited, so we will hold that. Item number 13, the recommendation for the award of merit, Deputy Chief Federico. Motion to approve. Councillor Carroll, seconded Mayor Tory. All in favor? Any contrary? Thank you. Item number 14, the private switch automatic location identification emergency service. Motion to approve. Mayor Tory, seconded Councillor Lee. All in favor? Carried. Item number 15, interior design services, pre-qualified vendors. Motion to approve. Motion to approve. Councillor Lee and Mr. Jeffers, seconds. All in favor? Any contrary? Carried. Item number 16, the in-car camera systems, the vendor of record. A motion to approve. Councillor Lee, seconded Councillor Carroll. All in favor? No, not at this time. We'll get back to you. Thank you, Ms. Ross. I'll call you in a minute. Item number 17, there's a deputation, so we will hold. Item number 18 is Police Towing and Pound Services Contract 2016 to 2020. Reallocation of 54 Division from Towing District number 4 to Towing District number 5. Motion to approve. Councillor Lee, seconded Mayor Tory. All in favor? Any contrary? Thank you. Carried. Okay. Item number 5 is a hold for deputation. Is that correct, Deirdre? And where's the list of? Okay. Okay. Alura Moores, this is the presentation on the police use of neighborhood associations in specific missing person investigations. So, we'll come back to that in a minute. Okay. Yep, come on up. Oh, I'm sorry. No, you're right. Just a second. That's Deirdre's just correcting me here. I'm sorry, Brenda, you're right. This is your opportunity, and it was the continue of the corporate risk management report from last week. My apologies. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know. Did she? I'm sorry. It was Deirdre's understanding that you wish to speak to the corporate risk management report. Yes. But perhaps you can wrap the two in together. Why don't you come and start with this, and then we'll give you a few minutes. Yes. Yes, I do. Yep, because it's a continuation from last meeting, and I apologize that it's not numbered accordingly. Okay. What? Okay. 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 I haven't yet. I haven't even found the stopwatch yet. Here you are. Thank you. I need a minute. Now, Brenda, address the issue of corporate risk management first, and when you finish, let me know, and we will reopen item number 13.
Thank you. If you can just give me a minute to give the submission. Unless you can actually see it while I'm talking, no one's going to know what I'm talking about. I've changed it from last meeting, given a change of circumstances of something that's occurred. So, due to a change of circumstances, I changed what I was going to say. Will you hand those out, sir? Thank you. I hope this is enough for everyone. If it's not, let me know. I've got more. Mr. Pringle, give me a minute while everyone gets their copy so they know what I'm talking about. You need more? How many more do we need? There's more if we need more. Now you'll notice the handout that I've just given. Some of it you've seen before, but there's
Brenda, I am going to start you right now, okay? So
has everyone got their copy?
Yes, they do.
Oh, okay.
So you're starting right now. I'll give you a 1-minute warning.
Okay, let me get out my copy of the old agenda so I can tell everyone what page we're looking at for the beginning. So basically, if any of you remember at all, last time I was here, I was talking about corporate management risk report, and I asked you all to go to a certain page. I believe it was page 11. Okay, I'm having trouble finding it. Give me a second. Mr. Pringle, I'm going to ask you to give me a second to find the proper page. All right, everybody, page 11. Page 11 is talking about public contact, and we're talking about the Mental Health Act. And I have before told all of you that I have been threatened under the Mental Health Act. And for years, we've been threatened that our family is, quote, crazy. And I've reported this over and over again. And I, who have already been arrested once, being told I'm not at my own house, I believe that we're being gaslighted, if there is a proper expression, gaslighted, by being told we're not even at our house. I'm still told that today. The police don't know what we own. And we're being made to look crazy in the neighborhood. Now, we have here an issue that thousands of people, 9,000 people, have been taken away under the Mental Health Act. 9,000. What if it said drunk drivers, drug addicts, alcoholics? Everybody would be up in arms, frightened to go out their front door, thinking that we had lunatics running in the street. And we all know that we don't. So I am very concerned. Do we have a mental health crisis? How did the police get to be in charge of a mental health crisis, where 9,000 people were deemed to be so dangerous to themselves or others, the police had to come and take them away? 8,171 people taken away by force. I'm very disturbed by this, and I'm wondering what it means. I'm going to tell you that some of the people that have been taken away were taken away as weapons so that they stopped complaining, and they appeared at hearings that were held by Justice Tulloch. Up they got, one after another, talking about being taken away by the police. On and on they went. Now, please look at what I have handed out. I want you to know what it is before I stop speaking, so that when I finish speaking, I am going to ask that our Chief of Police, Mark Saunders, the head of the board, meet with me privately to discuss this handout, which contains criminal activity on the part of this police that has been ignored for years. And lucky for me, I have finally come into possession to prove what I am saying. Now, Mayor John Tory, as everyone knows, is a lawyer. And we have a lawyer, the gentleman I believe wearing the blue jacket is also a lawyer that works for the police. And I believe this gentleman might be a lawyer, I'm not sure. But I know the gentleman in the blue suit has said he is, and I know that our mayor is. So they know what they're looking at, but I'm concerned the rest of you don't understand what you're looking at. Basically, after being harassed, attacked, beaten, threatened by people in our neighborhood, joined by the police, one of whom is now the chaplain. The chaplain, ladies and gentlemen, for 13 Division, was involved in this for years. I reported him for years, and nothing happened to him. And when I showed one of the superintendents a couple of months ago this document, all I got was a smirk. I begged everyone to get this document, the one from the police reporter, the court reporter, court proceedings, where it identifies 2 police officers as trying to interfere with court proceedings. One of them is identified as Tagawando, that is Ojo Tuagbade, that chaplain for 13 Division. The other one is a sergeant. I need you all to read these carefully, including the news report, the old news report, and the back of this is me taking this up right until now, till 2017. Please read the whole thing. My mental health certificate is included in this pile. I will now, if it's all right with you, move on to the medal.
So let's finish that. We will reopen 13 at the appropriate time and call you back up for that. I would say that listening to what you have to say, that it really is a question for the OIPRD.
I've been there.
Which is the police oversight. Well, it's, there's probably nothing more that this board can do. It really, that is the oversight body to this, and to that degree, and you've, Brenda, raised this a number of times, and I'm sympathetic with your frustration, but really that is the body, Carl, am I not correct, that you should be going to. And Carl would be happy to provide you with the contact person to approach there.
I have the contact person. I've been there many times, and I've been told they can't handle this, that this is beyond, because accusations have been made about one of the deputy chiefs that...
But that's exactly in the wheelhouse that they should be looking at. So,
they're saying no. All that anybody would get from what I presented to them would
Carl,
be suspension with pay.
I'm correct that is the organization. There is no one above that. There's no one else. So once it is, it is about Toronto Police, you need to go to the...
I've been there, and I'm being sent back here. So I don't know what to say to you. So I'm going to ask my question. Could you please consider that I'm asking yourself and the Chief of Police to meet with me privately so I can explain this further. But in the meanwhile, I would be grateful if everyone would read this. And I will go sit down until we get to 13.
Thank you.
Could everyone please keep their hand out for number 13? Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you, Mr. Pringle.
Okay, Deirdre, we are number 5, and this is Alura Moores. And Alura, you've seen, Brenda, if you can come up and take us through your presentation, and thank you very much for coming. Brenda, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pringle. I just need a second to get out of the
Yep,
way of the other
yep.
lady.
Okay. Councillor Lee will help you. He's Thank you very much for coming.
The table moves too. Okay, thanks. Yes, thank you very much for allowing
So
me to speak
I'll give you
today.
5 minutes, and we'll give you a 1-minute warning.
Okay.
Okay?
Great.
Thanks.
So my name is Alura Moores. I'm the president of the Rosewood Taxpayers Association. We are located in North Scarborough, Ward 41, Division 42. And I'm here today to talk about the police and how they can and should use neighborhood associations to assist when a person goes missing who is a high-risk individual in a particular neighborhood. The background to this story is that a person, an elderly gentleman with dementia, did go missing in our neighborhood in March. And unfortunately, he was found deceased 3.5 days later in the neighborhood, or on the border of the neighborhood, I should say, and near his home. This instance is not the first in our neighborhood. We also had this happen in 2011 with a similar result. So it has come to the attention of my association and the community that there is a gap or a hole missing in the way that the police operate during these types of investigations. Basically, what I've been informed is that they rely solely on Twitter and the media to get the information out to the community. That is, to the broader community. And unfortunately, not everybody uses Twitter, and even if they do, they may not see the Twitter feed when it is actually happening. So there's great time lost. On the day that this man went missing, he did not make the news, even though it was requested of the media. It was a busy news day, there was a homicide, and unfortunately, he did not make the cut. And so it was not reported until sometime later. This is crucial in missing persons situations where there is dementia involved. You have 24 hours before the risk of serious injury and death is 50%, and I'm sure in Canadian winters it's higher. So neighborhood associations are valuable, and I'm just going to read directly from my deputation. At a moment's notice, our association can send out an email to hundreds of community members to check their back, front, side yards, their sheds, the security cameras in their garages, in and around their cars, to keep an eye out around the neighborhood and to share this missing person information on social media. The Toronto Police at this point simply do not have the resources to reach a targeted audience at the same rate or effectiveness that we can. We have regular volunteers that are able to pull together on short notice to knock on doors, put up signs, drop flyers, make calls, and walk the neighborhood. And this is not as a formal police investigation, but while the police can do these things, we have over 1,000 members and we know the neighborhood. We know which families speak English and which ones need translation. While our efforts would never usurp a formal police investigation, I would suggest that we are able to provide real visual representation to the community that a person is missing in a manner that would very possibly expedite the investigation and reduce the need for extended resources, both in personnel and time in the part of the police. And so the good news here is that it is a $0 solution. It will not cost anything, save a little bit of time, to do what I'm suggesting. It will save resources and time, which is important, and therefore you may actually save money. It's very basic. Compile a list of neighborhood associations across Toronto and a map with their associated boundaries. I hope that each division could do something like this. Request the participants or these associations to participate and give them materials ahead of time in order so that they can prepare if an occurrence happened in their neighborhood. Make that list accessible to all officers in the divisions and encourage them to use it if a missing person situation that is appropriate occurs. And finally, follow up. Unfortunately, when this happened in our neighborhood, we had put up large signs and people did see them, but we were not notified when the man was found. And so those signs remained up for a day afterwards. That's problematic. So I also have a precedent today of an email I sent out to community associations in Ward 42, and I can leave that with you as well. There's a few other things I need to touch on is liability.
1 minute.
I know that liability could be a concern, but as we are not part of a formal police investigation, I do not see that there's any real additional liability. You are not relying on our services. It is simply a bonus. We're helping to be on the lookout. The most important thing is that we owe the people that go missing to do the best we can to help find them and bring them home safe and sooner. I feel like not incorporating these suggestions would be more problematic than involving community associations. I know there are technologies that are being explored, like the Community ASAP, which is a targeted texting program, and smartphone technology. However, these may take years for us to see, and right now we have a solution that is easy, very affordable, and can be implemented right now to save lives. So in conclusion, I hope you take into account some of the things I've highlighted today, as well as the ones mentioned in my deputation, and that I really hope that we can get our wanderers home safe and sooner.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
very much. Right on time. Colleagues, questions? Councillor Carroll?
Yes. There is a history of attempting to put together the resident and ratepayer associations into a data bank over at City Hall.
Okay.
And the challenge, they sort of abandoned the attempt after a while, because the problem is groups are at widely varying capacities, sizes, and they have a tendency to thrive for a few years. Not that that would happen to your organization, but many
28
thrive
years?
and then disappear.
Right.
It just, you can be 1,000 strong, and some leadership transition over time causes the group to disappear. And so we tried for as long as possible to keep together the pre-amalgamation types of lists and then abandon the task. But I was struck reading your letter that what also appears is that there must be widely varied examples of how the ratepayers associations are linked to the current structure of CPLCs. Certainly, they're very different depending on the neighborhood. Some of my colleagues downtown have very different experiences with their CPLC than I have.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if you would speak to whether or not you think it would be helpful if initially we just looked at what is the coordination, what is meant to be the communication path between CPLCs when an incident like this happens and the various neighborhood associations, so that we could perhaps very quickly, without having to do the big inventory, which actually does cost money when we try to do that. It's a big
Well, it
exercise.
depends if you have people
If we
volunteering to
started
help.
with finding out what is meant to be the dissemination of information to your CPLC and on to the neighborhood associations, and then look at where we can improve upon that,
Sure.
would that be helpful to the organization?
I think that would be helpful. I mean, I think it's always helpful to know who these association members are anyway. There's a bigger picture here in that although it may be complicated or trying and update these, I think if you're regularly looking at these associations on an annual basis, it wouldn't be so arduous. If you're leaving these lists for years at a time and then trying to update them, perhaps it's problematic. However, I do think that this has a bigger benefit than just the missing persons. So I do think that actually trying to get those lists updated with the community associations is a very direct way. However, I don't think it hurts at all to look at the CPLC. Again, as you said, they are very different and they operate differently. So I think that's absolutely an avenue that should be explored. I just hope that the one with the associations isn't ignored. I know there's organizations out there that are willing to assist. I'm sure the Alzheimer's Society would be. Individuals like myself have stepped forward and are looking to compile these lists to help save time. It's a very worthy cause. This is going to become a big problem and a huge resource for the police. I'm sure it is already, but I don't think it's going to get better. It's going to get worse. And the more help you have out there, the better. I think a little upfront work in preparing these and then regular maintenance would be the way to go. I think the CPLCs can help with that. Perhaps they are the people that can help compile these lists.
I just want to thank you for an incredibly thoughtful deputation. It sometimes reminds us of the help we can get on a lot of things from people. And I just wanted to your idea would be that we wouldn't try to communicate when you talk about maintenance of lists and so forth. We're not going to try to communicate, we meaning the police or the city government, to each and every one of the people, but rather we're going to have a group of leadership people, or maybe even somebody who's specifically assigned in your neighborhood association to be the contact point. So when the police have something like this, they call that person, and you in turn are responsible for animating and energizing the members of the association to help out. That's the way,
right, yes.
Because
In
you
my
know how to reach your
deputation,
people.
it specifically identifies that we would have
Right.
2 members of the association specifically listed as contact points, so that, you know, should they not be able to reach one, they could reach the other, and in either way, both would be able to disseminate information directly to their community and get the word out quickly, very quickly. We did not know that that person was missing in our neighborhood. Most of the people in our neighborhood had no idea why the police were there. That is a problem.
Thank you very much, Laura. Thank you very much for coming on the deputating and also volunteering your time, looking after a family and working at the same time. I know how busy you are. Anyways, are you aware that the previous president, not previous, but one of the former presidents, co-chaired the CPLC?
Valerie Plunkett?
Yeah, Valerie Plunkett.
Yes.
She
yeah.
co-chaired and she was very involved. Do you currently have a representative?
We do, Michelle Gillette, and in fact,
Okay,
she identified herself when she called into the station in 42 that day, but unfortunately, we did not get the information we needed.
All right. Okay. And thank you very much for proposing this, and we will have to move forward and try to see how we can fit it into the police.
Please, and I'm happy, you know, to work on this with someone afterwards. I will pass this along. I don't know if I have it. I printed out 7 copies, but you have one. This is a copy of the email that I did send out to give you an idea of the kind of expectations that we would see as, you know, that outreach part. So please have a look and you can contact me about your thoughts if you want.
I did get Twitter from Courtney Fisher on Sunday evening.
Sunday evening, yes. No,
right.
we only really confirmed on Sunday he went missing, but it was Thursday morning that he was reported missing. I mean, there's a huge gap in time there. It wasn't reported in the media until, I believe, the weekend. You know, flyers were dropped off in people's doors on the weekend. This is days later. And unfortunately, with dementia cases, that's far, far too late.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your time.
I think there may be some more. Any more questions, the colleagues? Yes, I have a question to the staff too, but Mayor Tory, you go ahead and then.
Well, I was just going to ask somebody if they could just tell us, I mean, I think it's so sensible, and I'd be surprised if in probably some divisions they're already doing this. I don't know. But I don't, before we make any kind of a motion to ask for reports, it's always good to sort of say, well, what's already being done in the context of this kind of thing. I see there's a local initiative here that we just had handed out. And so I just wanted to know if somebody could tell us what of this and how we could help at the City Hall, because we probably have a better inventory already of these groups and contacts than would be the case perhaps here. I don't know. Can somebody help with that in terms of how much is already being done of this? You have some already? Okay, all right.
Well, there are a couple of things that are in play already with the modernization piece. One is the ability of geofencing, push technology to make sure that we can have the ability of contacting specific areas of the city at specific times for specific issues. But the other as well is when we talk about the neighborhood officer, that's the ideal opportunity for that officer to have an understanding of all the organizations, all the entities that are within those communities, because it'll be more of a grassroots approach, and then they will have the ability of working with agencies like the RTA so that we as an agency have an understanding of what levers we can push out there whenever we have these types of issues. And that's kind of the direction we're moving towards, Mr. Mayor.
You want to speak on?
Yes. I really appreciate the deputation, because I'm all about communication. When I read the letter, it reminded me of if we look back at the 2013 ice storm. All of the councillors came forward to the council chamber because we ended up in a big discussion about emergency preparedness, and we were all frustrated because we as councillors were using massive listservs that we have and tapping into listservs of each of the condo boards, residents associations, anything that we had to try and find out where was there a difference between what was going on the ground where people are saying I still don't have power and the failed technology was saying we fixed it. And so we started to piece it together using all of these communication tools and organizations of residents on the ground. And so we thought, why don't we institutionalize this? We should be doing this all the time. But I went back through, clerks provided for me the ability to go back and look through every other time they have an attempt. And it's why I asked our deputant about, would you be comfortable with us looking at how CPLC communicates? CPLCs, it may not be a perfect model, but it's a model that exists. And it's a model that exists according to our policy and according to our terms of reference. We can determine whether or not a CPLC is acting in accord with our policies, is acting in accord with our anti-racism and equity policies, in accordance with the Human Rights Charter. We have none of those powers over ratepayers associations. We don't direct them. We don't provide their terms of reference. We have no rules for them. Tomorrow, I could go home and say, I don't like the Ratepayers Association in my neighborhood, so I'm starting my own minority Ratepayers Association with 6 people who agree with my opinion, which is way offside with the opinion of the actual Ratepayers Association. And there is no policy that stops that, or either the police or say, actually, we're speaking now, so
Okay,
the
I'm sorry, go
deputation
ahead.
time is over, sorry.
Yeah.
We have no jurisdiction over residents deciding to get together and have a club, a bridge club, a book club, or a thing that they've decided to call a Ratepayers Association. So to say we are now tracking all of them, we are using them, and we have some sort of control over them behaving appropriately with whatever we send to them, gets real tricky. So what exists at the city is a rough look at the ratepayers associations that exist. Umbrella groups become very well known to us through their deputations to the city on behalf of handfuls of residents associations. But in terms of sending out our information, what we use is the coordination between groups that we do control and can say you must adhere to our policies with regard to how human beings treat other human beings. And when we know of your network, a good division will use it. So I really favor, and it's why I am in support of the motion we're going to hear, I really favor, as a first step, starting with what we have, and that we do have some policy control over how our divisions set up and then use their CPLCs and how they coordinate their communication. And then if there are gaps and they need improving, this deputation will have driven that improvement. And we may get all the way to there. But if we do, I wouldn't suggest that it will be a quick and easy. As much as it seems, common sense tells you it should be quick and easy, because there's such a vast difference from association to association in their capacity, their rules, their culture. Some of them have kind of a toxic culture. Sometimes in a ratepayers association, I have to say, are we working together to make a good neighborhood? Or is this just a group that yells at the councillor and then goes home? The cultures are sometimes constructive, sometimes not. All of that is a challenge. So I'd like to start with CPLCs, and that's why I'm going to support the motion you're going to hear. And the gaps will quickly show up in the report we get back, I suspect. And if we need to do better, that likely will show up as well. Yeah.
Colleagues, any other colleagues' questions? Councillor Lee?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and I have a motion to move. Can you flash it up? And I'd like to thank Councillor Carroll for helping me craft this. And basically, the current communication practices between TPS, divisional CPLCs, and local residents, that we further letter the chief with request for a report back about the interconnections between the various organizations, and recommendations that we can improve upon the information and communication distribution between TPS, divisional CPLCs, and resident and ratepayer associations. I think this is important because after this happened, Ms. Aurora did have the staff sergeant from division come and attend the AGM. And AGM is normally attended by between 30 to 50 people. So it's quite an active association. And she mentioned Beverly Plunkett, she was very active in the CPLC. And so they have remained very active, and they have been able to get people like Alura to come forward and help the community out. So I think it's important that, and locally, one size doesn't fit all, as you mentioned. Each CPL, each community association, each area is slightly different. So I think by pushing it down to the local group like CPLC, you're able to assess what their capabilities are. So that's why I'm asking for this report to come back, because again, Staff Sergeant Andrew Ackland was out and identified all the issues that could be related to getting community involved. And also she had the Dementia Association come out and present how they can help as well. So it's very important that we work together with all the different groups, because these are social issues that it's not going to get any better. Because since I've been a city councillor for over 10 years now, I've been approached about how to help dementia, people in dementia, mentally, mental health, issues and so on. So this will be an ongoing problem. I think getting in associations and the community involved. I mean, we as a police services, as a board, are trying to get community involvement anyways, because they are our ears and eyes. So I think it's important to incorporate this as part of that. And yes, not everybody's going to have email either. I mean, how many people in your association's emails? About 50%? Yeah. But what I'm getting at is, I send my e-news to the association, and then I depend on them to distribute, because not everybody wants to get my e-news, but they're going to get hers. All right. So again, we spread out the news and get as much information back as possible to help, at least, if not 1, 2, 3 persons that could go missing in the next little while. Okay. So I hope that this recommendation goes forward, and the chief can come back with a report.
So thank you, Councillor Lee.
Thank you.
You're proposing this, Councillor Carroll. Are you seconding it? Is it colleagues? Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of both motion 1 and 2? Any contrary? Carried. Ms. Moores, thank you very much for your presentation. Thank you for coming down here today to do it. Thank you, colleagues. That moves us on to item number 6. This is a deputation from Cecil Peters. And this is board policies, bail and violent crime, police response to high-risk individuals. Mr. Peters? Is Cecil Peters here? Okay. We'll go on then. Yes, so, okay. If not, is there any board discussion on this? If not, we have a motion to receive it. Item number 6, Mayor Tory, seconded Councillor Lee. All in favor? Any contrary? That's carried. Item number 7, there's a deputation. This is the City Council motion on abuse and misuse of accessible parking. And there is Desmond Cole. Desmond, thank you. You know, it's 5 minutes, and I'll give you a 1-minute warning.
I'm here to speak about Deonte Miller and to speak about Michael Terrio.
And you can try to stop me, Chair.
Mr. Coles, you heard the.
I did hear.
Discussion, and I'm sorry that
I'm here to
it's out of
speak.
order. Thank you
I know
very
it's out
much.
of order. I'm here to speak any way that you want to. I'm here. Put this on the public.
There will be an opportunity to. You heard the.
There should have been an
beginning.
opportunity for us to sign up and speak. I put my name on the list. I am in this chair. Please
Mr.
respect
Coles,
my time. Please
no,
respect
you
my
are not.
time and
Thank
my
you.
presence. The chief of police of this city.
Mr. Coles, if you would be quiet for a minute, I would let you know that we made a statement at the beginning. You heard that there will be a process.
I've heard
that will be
everything.
followed
I've heard
through.
everything.
It
The chief
will
of
come
police
back
of this
when
city.
It will come back, and you will have an opportunity.
Thank you.
To
The
speak
chief
on
of police of
at
this
that
city
time.
has made several statements in the public about this issue. And among those statements, he has said that the reason why the SIU was not contacted by
Desmond,
this
I'm sorry.
force.
Listen, this is not the appropriate
Thank
time.
you. Let me finish.
So we're going to
Thank
adjourn
you.
the meeting.
Thank you.
and
Thank you. Let me finish.
I cannot do
The
that.
reason that he says that this board didn't go to the SIU, that this force didn't go to the SIU, is because it wasn't in their mandate to do so. That was the excuse that we were given in the public. If this Toronto police force thinks that a man beating a teenager with a steel pipe was not in the interest of the SIU, what are you guys doing here? If you don't think that that deserves a public conversation, what are you guys doing here? What are we paying you guys to be here for, if not to
Desmond, I'm
discuss
sorry.
something of
This is not
extreme
the time
public
and the
interest?
place.
Why are
Okay, I'm going to adjourn the meeting, colleagues.
this?
Thank you. We'll take a brief.
You're going to have to answer to the public.
If you
In
listen to the
public.
statement, you would find.
I heard this statement. You don't have the authority to even look at me, even let alone speak to me. You all have just completely ignored the authority that you were given in order to have these private proceedings. To do this privately when we are harmed and targeted so publicly, and you can walk away, Mayor Tory? How? Time after time. Intimidation.
All right, the colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, let us reconvene the meeting. And let me just say that unfortunately, that is exactly the type of disruptive, uncourteous behavior to other deputants that we've had over the last couple of meetings. Mr. Coles is someone who's come here frequently in the past. I tried to say to him that the statements that were given by myself and the chief earlier meant that this issue would certainly be coming before the public and that it was not appropriate at this time. And unfortunately, that type of behavior cannot be allowed to disrupt these meetings for the public as a whole. So let us now reconvene the meeting. Deirdre, where are we exactly? We're dealing with the item number 7, which is which was held, which was the abuse and misuse of accessible parking permits. The deputy, Mr. Goals, was not speaking to that issue. Therefore, there's not a reason to hold that. So may I have a motion then to receive that? Sorry, Councillor Lee, you wish to speak to that? Then over to you.
Just be brief, I'd like to thank the parking enforcement unit for producing that report, because I've been hearing a lot of anecdotal stories about abuse and misuse of the parking permits. That's why we had to get the report back from parking enforcement to ensure that it is indeed an issue, not just perception. So when the report came back with recommendations, then we forwarded it to Accessible, the committee at City Hall, to ensure that the people that need the parking permits are not impacted by any recommendations that we're going to forward to the province. And they did come back with recommendations, adjustments to what we had, what the parking unit had proposed. And now we're forwarding it to the province, because accessible permits are not the city or the police has no authority over issuing those. So that's why now it's at the province for them to review. And I believe that the minister has written back to us saying that they are reviewing it. So I think I thank the parking enforcement as well as the accessible committee down at the city for working on this and bringing the recommendations back. So now we hope that the people that need those spots, they have better access to it than people abusing it. Because part of it is that people tell me, whenever I go to a busy event, they say, "Oh, you want my parking permit?" I say, "No, that's not allowed. Okay, you don't own that permit. You own it, but only for your own use, not to hand out to anybody you want to." So I think there's an education process that also occur. So thank you very much, and I'll move to receive the.
Okay, moved by Councillor Lee, seconded. Councillor Carroll, all in favor? Any contrary? So that's 7 taken care of. The next one is a deputation on the inquest of the death of Daniel Nicholas Close. But is there no one? Scout Bay, is that person here to make the? No? Okay. So, you have, okay. And Councillor Carroll.
Let me get back to the item that where's the, oh, I gotta remove that, sorry. There's one of the inquest recommendations that it goes a little far, I guess, in the services view about incorporating in our training, increase the officers' awareness of ADHD disorder and similar classified mental impairments, to include consultation input from advocacy groups. I understand the response back that while the service concurs with it, they want to keep to the policy that you have to have training that allows you to react to the situation and not try and do a diagnosis in the middle of the occurrence, and deal with the behavior at hand. But I still need to hear specifically, and it's not really in the wording here, are those types of things discussed somewhere in training?
Yes, absolutely they are. And I can say that it is more robust than ever before, which is why I've added that third day of training. That third day of training covers two aspects. One's community engagement. The second covers people that live with mental health issues. It includes those that have not just schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, but it also includes things along the lines of autism, ADHD, and all of those factors as well. I want the officers to be well informed with situations that they're in, so that if it's an opportunity of learning how to de-escalate things, they have the proper tools, and knowledge is one of the most important components to lead to success in these types of encounters.
Okay. Okay.
But not in this particular encounter, this is completely different, but I'm generally, when we're dealing with the specific call, involves EDP.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just speak to it briefly then. That was my only question.
Any other questions on number 10, the coroner's inquest and the death of Daniel Nicholas Klaus? If not, and if Scout Bay is not here,
I'll just speak to it briefly.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I just want to speak to it briefly.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to speak to it briefly. By way of information, I'm not going to move any motion other than we're receiving these recommendations and receiving the services comments on them. I can't amend the response back to the recommendations. I just wanted to say that because we want more transparency and this is therefore a public item, I would like to in the future see that. To say the service agrees with the spirit of the recommendation but does not support its implementation, to me means, okay, now I'm in the realm of there's going to be some disappointment in not actually supporting the implementation exactly as outlined in the recommendation. So a little specificity that we do cover these disorders and what they sometimes mean to impulsivity, et cetera, that specifically is covered in training. The comments instead here are a little more general. And I think we have to get used to, in these transparent reports, being really clear about that. To me, the approach is, if I was reading this, if I was in the education field, we had a room full of educators just last month. The old adage, when you learn really well to work with someone with ADHD or someone with autism, you'll now find that you work better with all children. I think the same is true in police training. When they learn about these things, it will improve the way you work with all humanity, which is part of what we're trying to do, is to help them to be able to respond to what humanity keeps throwing at them in each occurrence. So that's what I'd like to see, rather than just saying we don't support the implementation, to put a little bit of reassuring in there. We do cover those disorders in this training specifically, would have left you with a report that gives everybody an even greater level of comfort. Those are my comments. It's just for future reporting's sake. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can move the receipt of the matter.
So, Councillor Carroll, you're recommending the approval of item number 10, seconded. So you're moving it, seconded by Councillor Lee. All in favor? Any contrary? It's carried. That goes to item number 12 for consideration. And Chief, I understand there is a correction to be made in that you'll take us through. Is that correct?
Yes, just bear with me. You are correct. Yep. There is a change to be made. Yes, I believe the change has been made. Is that the point that you're?
Has it been made, Director? I thought it was to be made. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. In item number 12, you said there's a correction the chief will explain. Yes. Has it been made already? No, it has not. Okay.
Yeah, the correct amendments that were necessary to be made were in fact made. No, I don't think they're not embedded in the report. I think is the change embedded in the report? No, it's not. So we just have to remove the complaint result by way of peace. Okay. Okay. For one of the charges, the sentence that says that this charge.
Which page are we on, Mark? Sorry.
On page number 56.
Yep.
And the first paragraph, the line that needs to be removed is, this charge was later withdrawn in court as the complainant resolved this matter by way of a peace bond. That's the amendment that needed to be made.
So it was resolved, the charge was later withdrawn because it was resolved by way of a peace bond?
I believe one of the charges was resolved by way of peace bond, but not the other.
But not this, so one was, but then not the other, and this implies that both were, is that correct?
Correct.
The way we have it now?
Correct.
Okay. Questions, colleagues? Shelley?
I'm wondering, and maybe I need the lawyer to, it is in here, that there was a Versadex records management issue here. Is it appropriate to delve into the question of whether or not there's been a general look?
I think you can ask anything that flows from the report. I think
Okay.
what we're dealing with here is specifically is the appeal by the individual of the disposition of the complaint, which was a complaint about service.
Right.
And that's the narrow issue that's being dealt with. If
Right.
the board wanted to say, well, we're interested in this topic, in addition, as a result of this, you could always ask for a report on that. But that would be independent of the disposition.
I think it's important, Mr. Chair, that we make sure that the board did inquire along those lines. While we had identities and such and more specifics upstairs, in the public report, it again tells us that there was a flaw in Versadex, and in doing a background check, he found Versadex had cited the wrong section.
Yeah, this was not about Versadex issues, just incorrect inputting. That's what I've been told with respect to this issue.
So it was human error.
Yes,
The
it was human
system's
error.
been checked, and we should expect this won't happen again, other
Correct.
than human error.
Correct.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that the public knew that we took that seriously.
There was also
Yeah.
an additional personal information contained on the confidential agenda, which I think highlighted more detail
Yes,
about what
exactly.
occurred, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So with that, Councillor Carroll,
Sure.
may we have a motion to receive? It's on the screen right there.
There it is.
That the board concur with the chief's decision that no further action be taken with respect to the complaint for reasons set out in the chief's report as amended. Specifically, that after the complainant advised the Toronto Police Service about a potential error in a record pertaining to the complaint, and after determining that the complaint was correct, the Toronto Police Service updated the complainant's record with the correct information and made appropriate adjustments to Versadex, our records management system, to ensure that a similar error could not occur in the future. You comfortable, Carl?
I wanted to raise one additional issue. Once again, on the confidential agenda, the complainant seemed to raise a whole host of additional and new issues, and I think it might be wise, just in the course of responding to the complainant on disposition, to point out that those are new issues and that he would have to pursue whatever process is available to him to deal with those.
Okay.
And that
That does need to be captured.
No,
That does need to be
no, I just
captured in the
wanted to
motion.
mention that,
Yes. So, Councillor Carroll, would you move the receipt of that then? Is it a receipt or approval? So I move approval. Seconded Mayor Tory. All in favor? Any contrary? So that's Tory. The only thing left is a reopening of, oh, no, there's 17, so 13 and 17. So item number 13 was the recommendation of the award of merit, Medal of Merit for Deputy Chief Federico. Mrs. Ross said that she had requested to make a deposition on this as well. We need to reopen the item for her to do so. Mayor Tory, seconded Councillor Carroll. All in favor? Brenda.
I'm very distressed that the board does not seem to be taking seriously the complaints that I brought to it. The information given to the board chairman from the lawyer or whoever else told him this about the OIPRD, that is not true. I've consulted a lawyer at a huge expense that I could not afford. I'm poor. And he said, this is a police matter regarding fraud, regarding the deputy chief's
Brenda, I'm
medal.
sorry. Yes, thank you.
Regarding the deputy chief's medal, which pertains to what I said earlier in your package, pertaining to the medal and the giving of the medal to somebody called Federico, a man I've never met and don't know. Let me be clear on that. I do not know this man. But according to the handout regarding the medal, a letter written by the chief, it says, second page at the top, that this gentleman, Deputy Chief Federico, a man I've never met, keep in mind I've been complaining about 13 Division since 1982. He is in charge of 13 Division. How many times have you all seen me here begging for help? And not once has this man, who supposedly comes to these meetings, approached me to ask me, lady, what are you talking about? What's the problem with you? What's happened to your family? On the handout I've given you, turn to the last page. The last page of the handout I gave you earlier today says, May the 31st, 2017, an acknowledgement of another complaint I just made about 13 Division. Still, I did not hear from Deputy Chief Federico. 7 months ago, I told Superintendent Bergen there is a story circulating in our neighborhood that the neighbors and the police are following the orders of an unknown mystery person identified as the Deputy Chief of Police. I told this to Bergen. I told it to his assistant. I don't know how many people I've told it to. And if you read the newspaper story that was written years ago, it says the police are saying that the reason they don't do anything about what's happening is because they are following orders. I would like Deputy Chief Federico, whoever he is, not to be awarded a medal for his good work, because I don't know what other good work he's done, but as far as 13 Division goes, they've run amok. They're the ones who were just in the paper for shooting Andrew Loku. And one of the two of them I know. How many people that I have complained about from 13 Division have recently been in the paper for all kinds of odd misdeeds, and yet no one pays attention? Chief of Police Saunders promised me when I first met him in 2016 that this matter was going to be looked after by a man called Greg Watt. Greg Watt did nothing. Then I was told it was going to be Chief Bergen. Chief Bergen, Superintendent Bergen, did nothing. His assistant, however, caused trouble at the courthouse, and now some of the people there call me a liar. I recommend that Deputy Chief does not receive a medal until he cleans up the mess at 13 Division. I also would like to know an explanation from the board. Why is it I don't even know the man? He's never once spoken to me. I don't even know who he is. Maybe it's one of you for all I know. I don't know the man at all. How many lawyers' letters that we can't afford to pay for? How many letters from ourselves? How much begging? Because literally I've gone door to door begging. People are laughing at me, including the mayor's secretary, who told me the letter that I left at the mayor's office was going in the garbage can. And I needn't bother to tell him that because he'd never take my word over hers.
Brenda, listen,
Now,
thank
I
you.
recommend that the chief does not receive a medal.
Okay, Deputy Chief, thank you very much, Brenda.
And I'm still asking
Brenda.
if I can have an appointment with you and Chief Saunders. I want to call in my marker. You both promised me that my complaints were going to be investigated, and they haven't been. And there is no fraud investigation from OIPRD. Thank you.
Brenda, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pringle.
You have met Deputy Chief Federico. He's in the room. He is frequently introduced at this meeting and meetings that you've been at.
I've never spoken to him, I swear.
At one of the stages in his illustrious 45-year career, he was at 13 Division, but he's the person who speaks on mental health regularly here, advises us on that. So, thank you for your input.
Well, then I
We
have to
respect
ask
it.
you why. I've never had an appointment with him. But then you see, they've accused the deputy chief, so I don't know who they're talking about. But why is it, if he's all these great things that you've all written in this paper, why is it that my family, how many times have I read in the paper the chief's gone to someone's house, the mayor's at someone's house? No one's even spoken to any of us.
Brenda, I
Thank
think that we, Staff Sergeant Watts, Superintendent Bergen, I have listened to it. I think we have taken your issues very seriously, but unfortunately, I
There
don't.
has been no investigation. I'm the one that got all the documents.
Brenda,
There's been no investigation of what I have said. And I don't even believe any of you have read the package.
Brenda, I think that the best result I can give you is the advice given by our lawyer, which is, this is a matter concerning a complaint about this service. The appropriate and the legislated body that oversees this organization is the OIPRD.
They sent me right back here.
But Brenda, then they must have a problem, and their job is to do exactly what you're asking.
They said the only thing they can do is possibly someone will lose a few days' pay. That would be the result. So I said, what did you say? And she said, we can't fix anything. We're not the police. Somebody might lose a couple days' pay over this.
Carl, let me ask, is it the OIPRD that, because we have, and Ms. Ross is right, she has talked to a number of our people. We've tried to understand the issue, but you tell me, at a stage like this, it is the OIPRD that she should be going to. Is that correct?
If there are complaints about service or complaints about a service that are provided by the Toronto Police Service or about individuals, misconduct by police officers, then the OIPRD would be a place to start. And if the OIPRD thinks that there is merit moving forward with the complaints, they can do so. The fact that there are limitations on the results, of what can happen, what type of penalties can be imposed, is a matter of the statutory reality.
But the OIPRD is the place to go to.
Yes, if it's complaints about specific services or about misconduct of individuals. Yes.
So perhaps you'd like to accompany me to the OIPRD, who believes they cannot investigate fraud. They cannot investigate the complaints I've made. All they can tell me is that an officer or two might lose a few days' pay. They cannot fix fraud. They can't arrest anyone. They have no such powers. These are criminal activities that require the police. You are right in what you have said, but wrong in the outcome. They do not investigate fraud. They do not investigate threats of death. They don't do any of those things. They cannot stop a policeman from spreading rumors that someone's family is mental illness. So despite the fact you've misled the chair in telling him that, the bottom line is,
Brenda,
a big shot lawyer in the OIPRD told me I need the police. So everybody needs to get their story straight.
Brenda, thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
I
Do
will be
I get an
happy-
appointment with you and the chief?
Yes, I'd be happy to talk to you.
Thank you. With the chief also in attendance?
That's up to you.
Okay, all right. But you are
Okay.
willing to meet
Yes,
with me?
I will.
Thank you. Some things
okay.
can't be said in public.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we still have item number 13, notwithstanding Ms. Ross's deputation and concern, which is obviously part of a bigger concern that she's expressed here a number of times. I would recommend we have item number 13 in front of you, which is the chief's recommendation that the award of the Medal of Merit to Deputy Chief Mike Federico. Deputy Chief Mike Federico, Mayor Torre. Oh, so I would ask you to read the entire report, which lists a really a remarkable career of contribution to this organization and the city, And having worked with Deputy Chief Federico extensively on the mental health file, I can tell you the heart and soul that he puts into it. So with that, I would turn it over to board members to,
I'm assuming, Mr. Chair, that we'll be having some opportunity beyond awarding the medal.
Oh, yes.
Proving that to actually have a ceremony and say some things.
It's not
This is
going
the
until
time.
September.
This is
So,
not the
yeah.
retirement, exactly.
Exactly.
We've got to get a couple more months' work out of him. Mr. Chair.
Well, one would hope. I'm sorry, yeah, okay. So may I have a motion to approve item 13, Mayor Tory, seconded Councillor Lee. All in favor? Any contrary? Carried unanimously. Are there any other, is there anything I've missed? Oh, item number 17. Item number 17 was there a deputation on that?
I was advised prior to the adjournment that Mr. Sewell was unable to attend today, and Anna Willits was present prior and would speak. However, that was prior to the adjournment, and I don't see her here now.
Is Anna Willits here? Yeah. Okay, so unfortunately, that, I'm sorry? Yeah, that's a good idea. We're just going to defer the item. Okay, a motion to defer to Councillor Lee, you're putting that forward. Seconded. The deferral seconded, Ms. Molnar. All in favor? Any contrary? Carried. Any other business to come before the board? Chief Saunders, anything else? If not, a motion to adjourn. Councillor Carroll, seconded Ms. Molnar. All in favor? Okay, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.